So the Finance and Felony DLC is just a few short days away, and if you need shark cards to fund any of your activities for this update, you won't find them cheaper anywhere else other than G2A. Check that link out in the description and use code BOSS for an extra discount. Hey, how's it going, guys? MrBossFTW here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, we're going to be doing another Q&A video where I take your questions from Twitter and Snapchat, and I answer them all in this video. Now, today's Q&A video is going to be the most robust Q&A ever. We're totally breaking the records that we did last week. There are so many questions. I think there's 17 or 18 in total, all about the Finance and Felony DLC. That's right. You guys asked me over 250 questions yesterday, and I'm taking the best ones and including them in this video. It should be awesome. If you want to get involved in the next one, all you have to do is go down in the description, follow me on both Twitter and Snapchat, and use the hashtag AskBoss whenever I'm looking for questions on there. So because there are so many questions, I'm going to try to go in depth with them. But I also don't want to make this a 25-minute long video, so I am going to do my best to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible. Our first one comes from HB, tweets at me, hashtag AskBoss. Do you think they're going to add some other vehicles that they haven't shown in the trailer? It's very likely, HB. They did this with executives and other criminals, and while I think they've showed off the main cars, that being the 3 new super and sports cars, and while they've showed off some of the armored vehicles, I think there's some that are definitely not going to be shown in the trailer. They most certainly did that with executives and other criminals. They didn't show off the armored Cognoscetti or didn't show off some of the versions of the Shafter. So I don't expect them to be crazy epic vehicles that they just forgot to show off. I think they featured all the really cool ones, but I certainly do think there's going to be some armored variants that weren't shown in the trailer that will make its way into the update. Our next question comes from Billy9622, tweets me, do you think Finance and Felony will be dead within a year, just like how heists are dead now? Hashtag AskBoss. It depends on what your definition of dead is. Do I think heists are as popularly played as they are when they first came out? No, of course not. It's just like how lowriders aren't popular now like they were in October. So I think that it's going to be like most DLCs, maybe with a little bit of a longer shelf life. It's honestly going to depend on how cool the CEO status is. If it's really awesome, you can make a ton of money, and you can do a lot of cool things with great features, then I can see it lasting a lot longer than Heist, especially because Heist was more of like a structured on-the-rails kind of thing. But if this just allows you to be an awesome CEO, corporate executives kind of guy with lots of cool features and activities, then I can see this lasting a lot longer. So we are going to have to see. Only time will tell, and we'll find out this Tuesday very shortly. Up next, we got a question from Cameron who tweets at me, what other unannounced features do you think will be added in further adventures in Finance and Felony DLC? Hashtag AskBoss. So I'm not sure. It was kind of hard to see from that trailer if there was like anything unannounced that I thought they snuck in there. I think the best telltale sign of what's going to happen will be in the patch notes when they reveal what they actually changed. I'm hoping Rockstar do make some small changes here and there to a few features. Maybe they'll actually fix some things from executives and other criminals, considering this is kind of the successor to that DLC. So who knows? It is kind of hard to answer that question from the trailer, but it will be interesting to see if Rockstar sneaks anything in this update, some secret features or details that they tried to throw in there. We'll be on the lookout for that for sure. And that's a great segue into our next question, which comes from Andrew Gomez. What is the feature you're most excited for in the DLC? It's definitely going to be starting the own organization and just coming up with a really creative name, having fun with all my friends and some of you guys, doing all sorts of missions and making all sorts of money. I'm hoping they improve on the Securo Serve and VIP interaction menu because I think it was a little bare bones, and that's to be expected because Executives and Other Criminals was the first DLC update to add that. But at the same rate, I just want them to tinker with it a little bit, that being the VIP menu, maybe the Securo Serve app, add some upgrades and some new features. But definitely just starting my organization, becoming a VIP is something I'm very much looking forward to. Our next question comes from Marcel, who tweets me, hashtag AskBoss. Do you think the new building we will be able to buy will have more than 10 car space in the garage? So that is a very interesting question. Will our properties, that being our warehouses and that being our high-rise offices, have the ability to have a shared garage with the other members of our organization. You guys remember I covered that High Life garage a while ago that was like massive. It had the elevator in the center, looked like it could easily hold 20 or 30 plus car garages. So that could be pretty cool. And that's something I think they need to do. A shared garage where each one of the members of your organization can bring, let's say, a certain number of cars into the garage. So for example, let's just call it a 20 car garage. The max you can have in an organization is 4. That means you would share a garage with 4 people and each person was allowed 5 cars. That could be awesome. And I think that would be extremely cool. I think that if Rockstar doesn't allow us to buy a 6th property, they're ultimately going to have to do something like that. But I do think we'll eventually get a 6th property in game, but it would still be nice to be able to have a shared kind of corporate style garage. That would be amazing. Our next question comes from Javier, who tweets at me, if the Maze Bank office is just expensive as the yacht, will it be worth it to buy? Hashtag AskBoss. So a question like that is always subjective because some people might say the yachts are really cool. Some people might say the yachts are really dumb. And then you choose to buy it based on that. I think the offices are going to be relatively the same. The only differences are going to be the location and the view you get. And that'll ultimately justify Rockstar's pricing in terms of where they put them. So for example, I'd want to say that the Maze Bank building will be the most expensive office, and then maybe somewhere lesser in the world of Los Santos will be a less expensive office. And maybe it'll have fewer amenities as well, like it won't have a telescope or it won't have a bar or it won't have a big screen TV. We're just going to have to find out, but I definitely think there's going to be varying levels of offices that'll be justified with varying levels of prices. Up next, we had a question from Giveaway Guy who tweeted me, what time on Tuesday will the DLC drop and will you be streaming it? So to answer your second question first, yes, of course I will be streaming it. We're going to be making lots of videos and live streams immediately when that DLC comes out. So get ready for that, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think the DLC is going to come out when it typically does, when typically all DLCs come out, which is around 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is somewhere around 2 or 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the California side of the coast, and around 10 a.m. UK time or GMT time. Now, obviously, that doesn't cover every time zone, but if you take those and compare it to where you live, you should be able to figure out when it drops. For me, it drops around 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., so I'm going to be up pretty early, but I'll sure to grab my coffee and we will be ready to go. Up next, we had a question from Guy Frizen, who tweeted me, do you think we'll have to unlock the new DLC vehicles just like in the Heist DLC? Hashtag AskBoss. I don't think so, because I don't think the VIP missions and the CEO missions are as structured as Heist. Heist were like missions that were on the rail that you had to unlock in order, and I think that's why Rockstar justified you unlocking vehicles as you went. However, I think because the VIP system is just going to be like, here you go, you can do this if you want. I think the vehicles are going to be there from the start, just like they were in Executives and Other Criminals. You didn't have to unlock any of the armored vehicles just to do the VIP challenges. They were automatically there from the start when the DLC did launch. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that's going to be the case, although I would be surprised if Rockstar did lock the vehicles till we completed them. Our next question comes from Ellie Sutherland, who tweets at me, hashtag AskBoss, do you think we will need to have the 4 players to own an organization, or could 2 or 3 people do it? So honestly, I think if you wanted to start an organization as a CEO by yourself, you totally could, just like how you can become a VIP by yourself. You don't need the bodyguards, they just help you out. So I think you could start your own organization with 1 person. If you wanted to have 2 other people do it with you, you could. Or if you wanted to have the maximum of 3 people do it with you, you probably could as well. I don't think there's going to be a limit on the minimum amount of players. I just think there's going to be a minimum on the maximum amount of players. I guess that doesn't really make sense. There's just going to be a maximum number that you can reach, and I think that's going to be 4 players. So I know a lot of you guys were worried about that because some of you like to lone wolf, which is totally cool. I lone wolf in game too, and sometimes it's fun to play that way. So if you don't have any friends on, or they're at school or they're at work, you really shouldn't have to worry about it. You probably will be able to do everything by yourself. Up next, we have a question from Justin EH. Hey, Mr. Boss the Win, do you think that you have to be a VIP to start the finance and felony missions? Hashtag AskBoss. So, Justin, I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm not sure if there's going to be a separate category for CEO, or you have to become a VIP first, then become a CEO, or if you just go straight from regular person to CEO. Again, Rockstar hasn't done the best job of explaining the process in terms of how it's going to work. They've kind of just given us the idea of what it's going to look like. So we are really just going to have to find out the process and flow of becoming a CEO. Maybe it involves becoming a VIP first. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Maybe it'll include more money, less money. I have absolutely no idea. We are just going to have to wait and find that out on Tuesday. Our next question comes from Samuel, who tweets at me, do you think that the payouts will be more than heist for the organizations? Hashtag AskBoss. So I don't think collectively they'll be more than heist, because the heist missions at the end, when you did all 5 of them, they get you a pretty nice payout, $200,000, something along those lines. But I think in terms of doing them quicker and in terms of having a more off the rails, experiment, then yes, you are going to be making more. Because the heist missions, again, they require you to go into your own kind of private lobby. You go into your own little game mode with the 3 other people. This you can do on your own. You can do with 2 other people, 3 other people. You can do whatever sort of job you want. There's not going to be any on-the-rail system. So I think overall, people are going to enjoy this more. And in total, they eventually are going to make more money. The heist may make you more money up front, but I think over time, these jobs will be better in terms of making money than the heists. My friend CrewBoss asked a question. He tweets to me, what vehicles are you most excited for in finance and felony? Hashtag AskBoss. I think obviously I'm most excited for that giant truck, the one with the SecuroServe guys hanging off of it. I don't know how that's going to work or how overpowered it's going to be. And then obviously the Pegasi Reaper, the Lycan Hypersport. That is incredibly awesome, and I'm so stoked for that. So that's going to be an incredible supercar in the game. Peyton asked me, how many new locations, offices, and warehouse do you think are coming? Hashtag AskBoss. So I think there's going to be either 21 total or 20. We obviously got to look at that map that guy had on the screen in his office, and there were like 21 or 22 dots that were glowing. So honestly, I think those are either warehouses or offices or locations of importance. So I would say somewhere around 20. Kevin J. Barr says, what things do you think the personal assistant might be able to do in the upcoming DLC? Hashtag AskBoss. That's a really good question. I hope the personal assistant is actually useful and not just like eye candy that sits at a desk and does nothing and is decoration for the office. I hope that the assistant actually tells you about deals that might be happening or about business opportunities that you should take advantage of. And like I said, isn't just a dull stick in the mud that doesn't do anything for you. Hopefully that's what the case is going to be. I would hate to see this really cool feature be personally underused. Maybe she'll be able to deliver cars for you or set up a meeting or have a helicopter placed on a helipad. That could be pretty cool and would be really cool features that I would be looking forward to. Up next, we have a question from Finn, who tweets me, do you think there will be varied office interiors like they did with the penthouses? Hashtag AskBoss. I think there will be several different versions of the office interiors just based off of the screenshots we've seen so far. One of them has been like a metal design. Another has been like an all wood design. So that would indicate to me that there are varying office interiors, maybe based on the style of office you get or the location you get. Do I think that we're going to be able to change them at will like the high-rise penthouse apartments? Probably not. I think they'll be standard based on where they are in the world. But I think that Rockstar will at least give us 2 or 3 or 4 maybe different interior options. At least I hope so. I would hate to have everyone's office the same. That would be kind of boring and slightly disappointing. Vanos708 asked me, will the Finance and Felony DLC not have a time limit for VIP, just like E and OC DLC? Hashtag AskBoss. Jay, this is the question that everyone wants to know, and Rockstar hasn't touched on that yet. Will there be the VIP timer, which currently only allows you to be a VIP for 4 hours before you have to take a 12-hour break? I personally think that would be really dumb to be the CEO of a company for 4 hours and then have to take a break. That just doesn't seem very cool. So I'm hoping that the CEO status will be permanent, whereas the VIP status is only for 4 hours. Again, Rockstar haven't told us a lot about the process, as I've mentioned earlier, but really just more so of how things are going to look. So we are just going to have to wait till Tuesday to find that out. My other good friend, GTA GFX, asked me, do you think the tugboat will be drivable or even in free mode? Hashtag AskBoss. So I touched on this in my video the other day. Do I think the tugboat will be drivable? I have no clue. Rockstar typically shy away from allowing us to have big, bulky vehicles in online, at least drivable variants. Think of the cargo plane. Think of yachts. We don't get to drive those at all. And even though it looked like it was moving in game in that trailer cutscene part, it might have just been a cutscene for a various mission in the trailer. Rockstar, again, want to make the trailers look as good as possible, so they probably used a lot of cutscene and cinematic shots, which might indicate to me that it might not be drivable and may only be available in free mode, which would be kind of a shame, but at the same rate, I could kind of understand it. And our final question comes from Amin490, who tweets at me, do you think the new armored truck will be so OP? Hashtag AskBoss. So he's talking about that massive truck that like barrels through the Dukes and the Banshee in that one shot. And I think it will be OP, and to an extent that I think Rockstar may have to limit its use. So think about it. Will that truck be available in free mode? I'm not so sure. I don't think Rockstar would make it available in free mode if it was going to be that overpowered. So we're going to have to see. There's a few vehicles that I'm kind of questioning their likeliness of being in free mode. The tugboat and that massive armored truck are definitely one. So hopefully Rockstar don't make it too OP where it can't be allowed in free mode. Well, we made it, guys. Those are all the finance and felony questions that I'm going to be going over in this video today. This was a massive one, pretty insane. Let me know if you like these style of Q&As where we go over more questions and I try to answer them in a more concise fashion. If you did go on to enjoy this video, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.